Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Excited to be back playing. Without a doubt, this third bye week, I think everybody would have agreed upstairs that it was probably too many. Now you get into a rhythm, you want to play, and um, I know when we played early in August that we had the three bye weeks, but it's hard to get in a rhythm. We're going to play 3 games in a row now, and I'm glad we're going to be able to do that. Last week we let a lot of the older kids rest because of the amount of wear and tear and the few bodies that we still have left from an injury factor. So we worked some developmental stuff and then a little bit of Oklahoma State stuff. But for the most part, a lot of our older guys that have played a ton of reps didn't do a whole lot other than lift and get through some walkthrough and some tape. But big game for us this weekend. Not had great success in Stillwater, and it's a tough place to play. And so we've got to have a great week of preparation. I know the guys, we'll see them today, but they're excited. They'll be excited to get back and get out and play.
Coach, can we get your comment on Dylan Edwards' departure?
Yeah. Last week he decided to redshirt and that he was going to leave the program. And I wish him well. It's unfortunate, but I wish him well.
Also, it looks like your depth chart's missing some guys.
Yeah, we lost a couple of guys. Romaine for the year with an injury, and then J.B. Bradley, but he should be back. We just don't think it'll be this week.
Thoughts on Oklahoma State? Is there danger in this because
Absolutely.
They literally have no danger?
Yeah.
Nothing to lose?
Plus, they're coming off an open week, and they'd played 7 games in a row, I think, and so. The fact that they have a bunch of seniors, I'm sure that have some pride and want to find a way to get a big win. And they've played some teams really well at home. And so for us, it's about us, really, of making sure we have really good preparation and have great energy and play with great physicality. They've got some really good football players. So for us, we've got to focus on us and have a really good week of practice.
Back up to Austin Romaine with him out. Who steps into the bench?
We'll slide Dez over, and Dez will play the middle backer with Rex, and then Asa will start at Will linebacker with Gabe Powers playing as well. So the blessing on that is we're going to get some really good looks at Asa and Gabe, and they've earned the opportunity. Those 2 kids have practiced really well, but when you got those 2 veteran older kids, it was hard to get them a ton of snaps. They both had played in some games, but now they're going to play a lot more.
With Austin, he played pretty well 2 weeks ago with the club on his hand. Did something just change between then and now?
Yeah. It just we needed to get something done for him, and it just the club was kind of a stopgap a little bit, and so he and I talked before that game and then after that game. So we decided to shelve him the rest of the year.
And just general question I wouldn't have asked a few years ago, but with RevShare now, when you have a player leave, how quickly can you look into reallocating any type of funds there?
Boy, that's a great question. That would be better for Clint Brown, our GM. Right now we're focused on the guys that we have here and trying to figure that out. Obviously, you'll get to use whatever money from kids that leave or seniors and stuff that leave the program, but not now. I mean, you wait until the semester.
Just what do you see in this Oklahoma State team and the way it's played under Meacham since the Gundy firing?
Yeah, they've done some really good things offensively for sure. They've been more wide open, and they've played a couple of different quarterbacks. I think we'll probably see Flores, and Zayn was here. Zayn, we recruited him for a couple of years, so I'm familiar with him, and I think he's a really good football player that gives them a great opportunity to be successful. I like their running backs. And then they've got good skill on the outside. They've been able to put points up on people. And then defensively, they got a couple of defensive ends that are really good players. A linebacker that's an exceptional player. So, for us, it's winning that line of scrimmage, and that's going to be the most important thing.
Does bowl eligibility get brought up in the locker room or anything at this point?
No, it doesn't. Our kids are smart enough to know what we have to do, but we can't focus on what is 3 weeks from now. We need to focus on today and focus on on what we need to do this week to go be successful. And there's a lot of guys here in the locker room that were there in 23, didn't play very well. Were there in 21. Some of those guys, some of those older kids were there, didn't play very well. And so I think that's our main focus is playing well in Stillwater, because it's been, and you can go back. I mean, there's been not many teams that have played, not many K-State teams that have played very well in Stillwater. And so we need to make amends on that, and we need to flip that a little bit if we can.
It's been this way for most of the season now, but now with Dylan gone, Joe knowing that he's kind of the number one guy, does that boost his confidence at all? Is that something that you tell him at all?
Yeah, well, we've been doing this playing this way for 5 weeks now. So, I mean, Joe's done a really good job, and we're going to get a look at Montario Elston. We're going to get a look at J.B. Price and Devon and Antonio. We're going to look at everybody back there, because we've got to get more production out of that run game, and it can't be just one guy. And so it's going to be a collective effort by a lot of those guys. Plus, they're all playing on some special teams, so we'll take them all anyway. But, we've been blocking much better in the run game up front, and some guys are going to get an opportunity.
And then I'll ask about George Fitzpatrick again. Has a decision been made on
No,
him?
He won't play this year.
Where would you like to see your team improve the most in the final 3 games? Is there a certain area you're trying to attack here?
Collectively, I would say, we can't turn the football over like we did against Tech, but you look at everybody turns it over against Tech, and that's by how they play. But we've got to continue to be balanced on offense, and I want to see some balance out of the run game, see us push the ball downfield in the throw game. And then on defense, we've done a better job of eliminating more of the explosive plays, but tackling and limiting the explosive plays. And got to play complementary football. There's going to be times where we get put in a bad spot on defense, and we got to be able to make a stop. There's going to be some times where we give up a couple plays on defense, and offense has to step up. So you get this time of year, everybody's down bodies. We're down more bodies than I've ever been down before. Part of that is our roster number is so small, and we have a bunch of guys hurt. But that's everybody right now. It's just in the past you always had those numbers, which we don't have anymore. So it's piecing it together. Practice is different out there right now. There's not a scout team running back. There hasn't been one for 3 weeks. It's Jet Deneen and Mikey Bergeron playing scout team running back, and that's college football right now. And so we have to continue to get the guys reps that are going to play, but we've got to play consistent in all 3 phases.
Another one of those rules is the transfer portal got moved back to January. Don't think we got your comment on that. How do you feel about that? How's it changed
Well,
things?
I don't know how much it's going to change. I think from a coaching perspective, we wanted to get it out of the December period to focus on the high school recruits. That was the obvious thing that for those two to be, kind of intertwined within a few days of each other probably wasn't a great thing. Pushing it to January, not sure it's going to make a huge factor in the fact of the kids that are transferring probably know they're transferring already across the country. So now it's just them waiting another month to officially get their name in the portal while the agents are flying around shopping their kids everywhere. So, I mean, guys, we've got a disaster. We all know it. And none of us know – there's no way out of it right now. And so, there's some kids that we assume are going to leave here, just like there's kids at every program you assume are going to leave. It's the ones you don't know that you've got to do a great job of saving right now, because I can promise you kids on our roster are being contacted. There's agents all over, or agents pushing their players out to people. There's a free agency period that is never ending in college football, and it doesn't start when the season ends. It starts in about the 1st of October. Hey, who's looking for a guy? I got a guy. I think this guy's going in. Guys, it's happening all over the country. We just got no answers for it. We're trying, but we're not getting any help.
Did any advantages come from having 3 bye weeks? Any self-analysis or anything you got to do?
I would have thought that the aches and pains and nicks and bruises, the VJ pains, the the Des Brunels, the Taylor Poitiers, been able to play all those games for sure. That's been a huge thing for us on those bye weeks. What you wish you could have had with 3 bye weeks was a roster of 120 kids so that you could practice all your walk-ons and all your freshmen and stuff. We don't have enough players to do that. We had 4 D linemen practice last week that are either redshirted or not in that too deep, so to speak. We can't practice more than 5 or 6 plays in a row before you got to take a break because those guys can't play every play. And so, we were able to get some individual stuff done, probably a lot more special teams work, drill work than we've been able to do in the past just because we've had to have different ways to practice. But just going team against team, that's what typically you do on bye weeks, and we don't have enough numbers to do that.
You mentioned the scout team. Is there anybody there who's really impressed you this season?
Yeah, we've got some really good young linebackers for sure. Everybody has heard about Weston Polk. That is a really good player that's playing as a 4-core guy on special teams. Sawyer Schilke's a linebacker. Darian Whitaker's a linebacker. Those 3 guys are really good players. And once again, they're behind a lot of older kids, so we didn't have to play those kids. But that's an example of a position that I'm really excited about for the future because we have some really good young linebackers.
I was going to ask you a little bit about Stillwater. You're so boxed in there. I know they've had a lot of good teams and are well coached, but how difficult is it to play there where the sideline is so limited?
Yeah, it's tight. There's only a couple places like that. Kinnick Stadium at Iowa is really, really tight. Oklahoma's really tight, and they're right on top of you, and they can get really loud. And so we've got to do a lot of things regardless of what the attendance is, and I don't know where that's going to be because of the paddles and stuff banging. You're going to have a hard time going on certain cadences, so we'll spend a lot of time on that. We did last week a little bit just on air, so to speak, just with our center and quarterbacks, but it'll be a big focus of our attention this week because of the noise that kind of vibrates in there.
I asked this one based on something I heard Joey McGuire was talking after the game about Rodriguez and maybe being like a Heisman candidate.
Yep.
Being a defensive guy and watching him in person a couple of weeks ago, I'm just curious of what you might think about that and what a difference-making player he is in your mind.
Yeah, it'd be great if he got a chance to at least go to New York. Get in the top 4 or whatever it would take to get to New York. It's likely that it's going to be an offensive guy like it is, and that's understandable. But he makes that defense go. I know they've got a lot of great players. That was, shown throughout College Game Day and Texas Tech and what they're doing, which is, congrats to Joey. He's got committed people to go and do that. But Rodriguez is the guy that makes him go. And it's fun to watch him. Wasn't as fun when I had a bird's eye view of it like I was 2 Saturdays ago when he was wreaking havoc, but just watching that kid play, it's fun to watch him. You can tell he loves the game, and hopefully he gets an opportunity to go to New York.
You mentioned you like Zayn Flores a lot, had him here.
Yeah.
What is he doing well from your perspective right now?
Well, he's healthy now, and I know he was banged up for a while, and he wasn't the starter coming out, and they lost a guy, and then he got the job and did some good things, and he got hurt, but I know that he's back and played against KU and stuff. I think he's just the veteran presence there. He's been there, I think he's Avery's year, so he's been there 3 years, so he knows the systems, so to speak, and he knows the players, and he knows he's bought in. I think that's the biggest thing when you get into today's day and age of coaches not there and stuff. That kid's bought in, and you can tell that he's a pretty good leader with that group. And situations are hard, and my hat's off to all those players that stayed. It's a big deal for those kids to stay because those kids didn't have to, based on all the new rules of when the transfer portal closed and opened and coaches. credit to those kids because they stayed, and that's a sign of great character.
One more for me. You mentioned you've been beat up most of the year, and Fortenberry is playing more now because of health and just getting more used to the program. I'm curious as to how you feel about where he is at and how can he help you moving forward.
Yeah, Maury's gotten better and better. He played as a true freshman last year, probably thrust into something that whether he was ready for or not, his body maybe wasn't mature enough for that. And watching him throughout the spring, not only getting into a lifting program full force, you realize when you play as a true freshman, you're not in power hour with all the other freshmen, you're playing football. So he did a good job in the spring, really good job in the summer. And then he just started to learn our defense more and more, better and better, spent a lot of time with coaches. And he's a physical guy. He's a guy that can play some press man. He's really good in zone, good blitzer. I've just been really impressed. He's going to play a lot more these last 3 weeks, partly because we're injured there, but a big chunk of that is Maury's earned it. He's played good enough football to warrant half or more of the snaps.
Going back to Austin, obviously so good after the snap. You've talked multiple times on how good he is and getting you guys simply aligned. Is that also on Dez to try to get everyone in the right place, or is that someone like VJ stepping up? Where does that go?
Yeah, good question. That's more Dez now. I mean, our Mikes are going to do that. VJ's going to run the back end, which he does a great job. And once again, Austin was phenomenal. Rex is really good at it. So I think the biggest thing that's different now is the green dot, because the green dot's on your Mike backer, and so it was always on Austin and Rex, and we're used to that with Rex. Now Dez has got to get used to it, and sometimes that call's coming into you, and you got to tell everybody that's what's going on. But Dez understands our defense as well as anybody out there. Now he's going to be thrust into a bigger role, and he's a senior. He'll be fine. He's ready to do that.
We're going to talk to Damien today. When you think of Damien, what comes to mind first?
He kind of embodies what K-State football is. A local kid that came here that kind of bought his time and learned from the people in front of him. He got to learn from one of the best players, best humans, best people in Eli Huggins that I've been around. And Eli absolutely poured into him. And you can tell that he's paying it forward because Damien pours into everybody on the team. Damien, he's a father as well. So he's had a lot of tougher things than a football game going on, having a family and stuff. But Damien is really played great football for us this year, but I think his leadership with these young kids, leadership with these new guys, has really helped. And, he's the same guy every day. That's one thing I love about guys like Damien to Austin Moore. You're getting the same person every day in the building, whether you won the game, lost the game, whether he had a great practice, didn't have as good a day, whether something happened outside the facility. He comes in and he embodies standard over feelings. He's always going to live to the standard and never let his feelings dictate how he shows up on a daily basis, because that kid's the same guy every day and as good a leader as we've had here.
And he still has games remaining for his legacy, but what does he do particularly well out in the field?
Boy, he gets off blocks. He's disruptive. You're not moving the kid. He's gonna anchor down on double teams, and you're not moving him. But he gets off blocks and is disruptive and makes plays, keeps those linebackers clean. He's always in the right gap. Some guys get greedy, or some guys get undisciplined and fall out of gaps. Not Dame. He's going to stay in that gap, and he knows we have gap integrity and stuff and things, and some guys just make plays off of being in. Having that gap integrity, but Damien is the team player, and he makes our defense. He makes everybody right. He makes those linebackers better. I promise you that.
One lingering question I had about the Tech game, when it came to returns, it's pretty much all fair catches in that one. What went into that strategy?
about a 5.0 hang time. They did as good a job of baiting people into it, meaning they can kick it out of the end zone if they want to, or the kid can hang it up there 4.7, 4.8, and you catch it at the 2. And when you break it down, and we do a really good job of breaking it down, the amount of balls that were caught by the returner at the 2 and that kickoff team's already between the 20 and 25. And one of the things that us going into that game, they'd blown everybody out in the first quarter, right? Kind of like they didn't against BYU, but the game was, they dictated a lot of the stuff. We did not want to start a possession early in that game at the 14, at the 12, and get that momentum going. We felt better about the 25 in reality. I don't think it was a thing that's going to happen for the next 3 weeks, but we analyze everything, and that kid is an unbelievable kickoff guy because he can bang it out or he can put really good hang time on it and land it at the 2, and then you got to block it perfectly with really good players, and they're already about at your 20, 25. So we just didn't want to start at the 15. Good question, though, because we'd never done that. But we really talked about that a lot, and Nate and I just kept analyzing it, and it's like, man, we just don't want to give them life and have to go. It's hard enough driving 75 yards on those guys. I didn't want to drive 85.
What would you feel about bringing the new NFL kickoff rules to college?
Boy, you're going deep on that one. I think it's going to happen, Fitz. I think all those things trickle down. I couldn't tell you from the injury standpoint right now where it's at in college football. It's probably down just because everybody can kick it out of the end zone anymore. But it takes away returners, you know. And I would like to see it. I don't know all the rules of the land. I don't get the chance to watch Sunday football, but I'll turn something on. I'm like, oh, there's a landing zone. Now, Nate will tell you all about it, but I think that would increase some returns. I don't know how you're ever going to change punts. You know, in the NFL, you can't release other than the gunners until the ball is kicked. You see the most exotic punt formations in college football where everybody's spread out, and you got the Australian guys that are going to run to the sideline with rugby. By that time the ball's kicked, everybody's down there. I wish you could get more into the punt return game, but it's taken effectively returners out of a lot of games, and I wish it'd come back.
Finally, you've been here 7 years. You've seen a lot of Big 12 teams. Where does Texas Tech rank in that?
Yeah, it's the best one I've seen. I think Lincoln Riley had some probably more explosive offenses for sure. I mean, that's probably easy to say with the amount of Heisman winners he had playing quarterback. But defense wins a lot of times, especially in November, in December, and that defense is lethal. I mean, you know, and they did it. They built it the right way, right? Put all the money on the guys up front. And those guys are disruptive and make a ton of plays. And then they've got back-end linebackers that are older, DBs that are older. It'll be interesting to see how it goes and how they match up as December and January hits. But that defense will keep them in every game, if not win a game or two for them in the playoff if they get there, which I'm assuming they will. Should.